word humanity, what is the first feeling that comes up for you?
I see a void that does not need to be filled and that should be left to be. We're all entities, and all together we create space, a much bigger space.
And welcome everyone to another episode of Humanity 2.0 podcast. I am so overjoyed to have this human right here. You have no idea. His work is fantastical, and I don't even have to tell you. You can see it for yourself. That's the great thing about visual arts, right? Is that you can see it and you can interpret it yourself and you can share it. David, oh my goodness, can you tell everyone a little bit more about you? Because I personally could not do it justice.
Everything about me. um, I'm an artist, but I believe that we're all artists when we act with intention. So that's very broad, but I do it also for a living. And on the side, I have this project that just consumes me, and it's about bridging with the stranger, the other. How do we communicate with somebody that we have very different opinions from, that political opposite, that person we no longer want to speak to? How is that done? How do we explore that? And so I use different art installations, performances, and interactions to engage with strangers in unusual places. And we explore what it is to create a bridge, to be with one another, and to maybe disagree and find commonality in that disagreement. And it hasn't been easy. And so that journey has brought me from going to public spaces in free speech areas. So after a while, I found that rather than a busy street in New York or a park in Paris, the national parks of the United States have free speech areas where it's kind of expected that somebody would be there. But I do something different. I'll put an art installation in that space, and then I'll invite people to come on over and answer 3 non-confrontational political questions. I'll go straight to the taboo that nobody wants to talk about. Right? It doesn't have to be about politics, but I chose politics to go for a taboo subject and for them to express themselves, and I'll record their voices. I'll listen to what they have to say, and I'll just actively listen. I'll be present for them and listen and try to find a commonality, but it didn't start like that. At the beginning, I was easily triggered because there are so many different people out there with a lot of different opinions. And I wasn't expecting to hear so many different opinions and to be triggered so much by what other people had to say. And I always use the same 3 questions. So I expected kind of a commonality in answers, and I found a great diversity in those answers. But it was an exploration within me, seeing how I responded. Was I able to listen to them when I'm getting triggered over and over and over? Sometimes not. Sometimes I'm in agreement and everything's harmonious. But when it's the opponent, when it's the other, how can I bring down that term of the other, the opponent, to see them as me, us, together? And after doing this for 6 years, hopefully not now, but in the last few years, I've been able to use all my senses to be there, listen in, be there for that person, and find something that I have in common with them. And usually it's not a fact or opinion, because we are talking about politics, right? So they're going to talk about facts and all this. And if we disagree, that's not where I'm going to find the commonality. It's in an emotion or a reaction. And for example, if they say that they're angry, and I feel angry too, maybe for different reasons, I'll share that with them at the end of the conversation. I'll say, or the dialogue, I'll say, you know what? I disagree with everything you had to say, except you're angry and I'm angry too. And if if they're angry about that those crazy leftists or whatever, I'll tell them, you know what, I'm one of those crazy leftists, but I'm angry and you're angry, and we have that in common, and we'll start with that. And from there, usually, I never had an argument per se where we have a confrontation, which is amazing, right? You'd think that I'd be in a lot, but by being there and listening and being present, finding one thing I have in common, I haven't had an argument in the sense of a confrontation with someone. Because where is this taking place? It's taking place in an unusual place, right? Everybody is somewhat in nature, if you like. They're calm. They're there. There's the unexpected of seeing me there, interacting with them and engaging with them. It's about finding, therefore, the place to have these type of dialogues. And hence the busy street in New York when people are off to work is not a good place to interact with people. So as probably the grocery line, where you're waiting and there's 10 people in front of you and everybody, you got to get somewhere. That's not the best place either. But it's a great place to be able to actively listen and be there for the other.
Yes. I love that art is so healing, and the work that you do is healing for both yourself and also the other person that you're talking to. I resonated with you so much when I read your bio and saw your work, and shout out to the lovely people at Podmatch who matched us up. That they're fantastical, and it's a wonderful platform. But upon reviewing your work and just kind of going on a journey of exploration, I was reminded of my own. Before this, minus 1 year, I spent 4 years traveling America interviewing strangers about happiness, and that was with the docuseries Are You Happy? To this day, they're still interviewing strangers, and it's a wonderful team led by Ate Trepka, but they are just amazing people. And so along the travels, asking 3+ questions, but one of them always being, are you happy? And what's your message to the world? And seeing the beautiful things that came from people, it was something that was an extraordinary experience, and it stays with you. And the words of others heal things in you didn't even know were wrong. But then also after the interview, similar to you, I would give them a little bit more. And if they were hurting, I'd give them that comfort. If they had something difficult to process, we'd have a conversation about that. And I remember in some videos, people would ask in the comments, I hope you gave them a hug, or I hope that you told them it was okay. And I'm so happy to say that I totally did. There's some people that you just stay with, and you have another experience after you hit stop. Seeing people and predetermining what their responses would be, and then totally being, knocked off your access because of what they said. Just the element of surprise and the humanity in these people was, oh my God, that was, it's priceless is the word, priceless. And so I totally resonate with you when you speak about people and the interactions and the moments, and also the, sometimes getting a little bit unnerved by words that they might say, but then asking why and probing, what makes you feel that way, or what happened that led you to this particular thought process, and stopping in the middle of New York. I did the same thing. There's a video where I asked I think he was like a messenger, and he was mid-route, and I asked him if he was happy at a red light, and he said something very short, and then the light turned green and he left. But it was just an amazing interaction. So yeah, I really loved your work. I love what you do. I love that your work incorporates both the words that people say and the profound impacts, but also with that visual element, and putting it in places that we don't normally think of, stopping and having these amazing conversations. I just love that you do that for others. And then people watching your work, they're receiving, something totally different, right? So that's rewarding. And I can see the passion that you have for it, because earlier you mentioned, this project, and you can see that. And I think that that's remarkable to be able to do what you do. And people said the same thing to me. They're like, oh, I can't believe you get to travel the country and just ask people about happiness. You're on planes everywhere and just going to all these wonderful places. And it was extraordinary. So cut to now, I do humanity conversation, because along the path of seeking answers about happiness, I had countless hours of footage where there were just these beautiful human moments that were not exactly related to happiness. And I thought, oh, I need to share those moments. So I decided to clip those into videos. But then I also did the Are You Happy podcast as well. And so I wanted to have these conversations with humans so that we could be inspired and enlightened and create this humanity 2.0 where people think first of each other. Minus themselves, take themselves out of the equation and think about others and see other perspectives. So 1000% resonate with you.
Okay. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Uh, tell us about the space after the conversation, after you speak to someone, and it's maybe not all positive. It takes you to a space, makes you think quite deeply about yourself, about the other, about humanity at large. You may have heard something at that time.
Uh-huh.
How did you personally process that moment?
So after hitting stop, I may get triggered by something that I've experienced before. And then we'll have a conversation about, those particular feelings, and I'll listen to that person go on a little further and ask him a little more, but then I'll also bring out what it reminded me of. And then, so I'll have that conversation out loud, but then I'll also walk away and have it internally. And I think it's surprising that people and interviewing people, they leave an imprint, just like fingerprints. And so when you walk away, you go back to your room or wherever you are, and they stay with you. And then that conversation, the trigger, whatever happened, whether it was positive or not positive, you go back and you think about it and you wonder, why did it make me feel that way? Why did it trigger this? And so I've had to learn to make peace with all of those interactions and the things that they stir up. Even this podcast, talking to people stirs things, and I have to take a moment and say, okay, let's break this down and see where we go next. But it's definitely been a journey. As far as non-positive interactions, I had one where there was a gentleman, I think it was downtown Dallas, and it was nighttime, and I was in a place where I shouldn't be. It was pretty dark, but he was talking about how corporate America stole his life and his soul, and he just went on this crazy tangent about just his life and how everything was taken, and his reaction was so angry. And we had a conversation after that about that anger, and he suffered from mental illness as well as a result of his life in corporate America. And so it triggered something for me, just because of like past experiences with corporate America. And then, when you have like mental illness and you're in corporate America, and just like the difficult times that you face there. So that made me connect with him. And I was angry too, because there are things that happened that shouldn't have happened. And we sat together, and it became less scary. The environment shifted and everything became, just on the level, because I no longer, had reserves about what he was feeling, or I wasn't really triggered anymore, but we were sharing this moment and connecting about different experiences, and it was powerful. And his clip, it's still there to this day. It's only like, God, it's not very long at all, but it had this crazy virality just from like one or two words. And being able to just unpack that anger with him, and then also my own, it was interesting.
I sense you had a lot of different conversations before you got to that point. I'm thinking how earlier on, when I first got started using these non-confrontational questions, how noisy the environment was. Basically, my mind was just reeling with all these responses, and not even actually hearing what the other person was saying. So it's definitely not actively listening at the time, um, wondering about responses and whatnot. And at that time I was coming from a place of as an anonymous artist that never engaged with its public, used our different artist names, so I didn't have to reveal myself to be there for even my client or my public. Um, and this project brought me out. So I'm coming from a long way, a long process, a long journey, if you like, to come to the point where, through all that early noise, things started to become to the silence. And I don't know, I was just visualizing you with this person sitting, and all of a sudden the traffic noise disappearing, maybe because you're deep in there communicating with a stranger, being there with a stranger, you can open up in so many ways to say things that you wouldn't usually say to those that are maybe close to you or friends or coworkers, because that's just a passing moment maybe in time, but it is therefore after that part of your story for the rest
Uh,
of your life. It's the building
uh,
block of who you are. And that's the space that when I listen to your story, I recognize myself
uh-huh,
as well, and the silence that goes there. That's how it's transformative. That's how it's been transformed. That's why I invite so many people to have these type of conversations, because it's a process. It doesn't start out that easily, but one at a time, just with practice, you
uh-huh,
finally get to a space that allows you to think clearer, to be able to see the world in a much broader view, to feel the other. And actually, I use the word other, they, and all that, stranger,
uh,
as just a concept, that there is such a thing, because we start thinking that there are an opposition, when in reality there's always this commonality. I guess it's heading in the name of your podcast, in humanity as well. There's much more happiness staying in that space of humanity than there is than seeing always the other, which
uh-huh,
unfortunately a lot of our world is on digital devices and on media is
uh,
always focusing on the other, because there's the outrage in there, and that's how you keep our attention to the screen. When in
uh-huh,
reality, we have this beautifully interactive world of connection and exchanges that feel very much like a travel abroad. When
uh-huh,
with new smells and discomfort, maybe visual overload, uh, that that we expect when we go and travel. We want something exotic, but it's there. It's in our surroundings. It's in our neighborhoods. It's in our outside of our communities. It's across the road, across the rails, to
uh-huh,
beyond the walls. Those places exist. We can do it right here without traveling afar. As long as we have that space, we can maybe return to
uh-huh.
and regroup. I think it's important to be able to regroup and have a safe place for those things. And I think um, for me, I'm in national parks where I'll even go to the top of a mountain and
Uh-huh.
wait there, and popular one with lots of people going up there, and have exchanges with people in that space, because they're in a mental framework where
Right.
this openness can happen. But it's more of a challenge. You've been able to do this on streets and busy streets, and the the cyclist, the delivery guy, whatever. Uh, those are wow, good on you. That's,
It makes me think, and I take a mental journey, and I'm like, I've done this on the streets, I've done
mm,
this on ferries, in planes, in the airport, like
mm,
everywhere, because it's just, humanity's everywhere, and being able to capture those moments. I had my phone at my side all the time. Um, Something you said earlier reminded me of a story. So you
mm.
mentioned the noise,
Yes.
and separating yourself from the noise and active listening.
Hmm.
Some folks are not aware, or some are, that as you're interviewing people, there is that noise that's beside you, and sometimes you step out of what they're saying, and they could be saying something really amazing, but you're disconnected for a second, and then you remind yourself, oh crap, they're still talking, I need to get back in there.
Hmm.
I'd love to
Hmm.
say that like every single moment I was like dead on paying attention, but that's not necessarily true.
Right. It's hard.
Sometimes your brain travels, or the noise around you just distracts you, but um yeah, getting yourself back into the moment and really actively listening, that was something that was imperative. With that docuseries, eventually I ended up becoming a production manager and training visual journalists on how to interview. So I did that as well, and that was one of the things we would talk about, is actively listening and staying present, and how you have to you have to, separate everything and just kind of get back into that particular person and their story. So that way you could create that follow up that's meaningful, because everything that you ask them is going to impact someone else, and it's a lot of pressure, but it's also very beautiful to know that when you are actively listening and taking in everything outside of yourself, not even considering yourself anymore, but just that person, it's beautiful.
If I may add, like in that journey, right? So in my artistic practice, and I'm engaging with people, I want to take them quickly to a space beyond where we are,
Uh-huh.
so that we can reflect upon our thoughts or our senses in a different way. And my process is I ask 3 non-confrontational questions, and I listen, or and I'll record. Uh, That's
Uh-huh.
the excuse, if you want, is to record, and it allows for that conversation to take place. I have an excuse to do so. Um, the Speaking to that Uncle Bob from the Thanksgiving dinner that's very opinionated is also the excuse, right? It's you have the dinner table and family. That's the excuse, the reason to have that exchange. If it's a stranger, you need to come up with one. But at the end of those 3 questions, I ask my guest, if you want, to find one word that brings together everything, all their thoughts, all the answers to the 3 questions into one word, which is very hard to do. And just asking for that extra mental exercise,
Mm.
you can see their eyes go down to the side, thinking, going deeper into it, trying to encapsulate all of their thoughts into one word, which might end up being 2 or 3, whatever, it's okay. And that's an exercise in itself. And when I have those words, I'll then bring them to another place, to another art installation. And then I will ask other people to take that word and imagine using another sense. So for example, if their answer to the 3 questions was democracy, let's say,
Uh-huh.
I will ask in another setting about taste, for example. What does democracy taste like? And that right there is a very strange exercise.
I love it.
Right? What does it taste like? What does democracy smell like? Taste like? On other senses that we no longer put so much weight to, because we're very much in an acoustic and visual world right now
Uh-huh.
with our
Uh-huh.
devices. What are take that word, bring it somewhere else. Oh, and that immediately, in just a matter of seconds, we are immediately in another place. And we
Uh-huh.
are thinking from another side, seeing from another angle. We've exited our echo chambers, and now we're looking at for just a brief moment from the outside, looking back in at ourselves inside of that echo chamber and seeing it differently and analyzing and coming out with new things, which
Mm.
might end up being apple pie or something, it tastes
Rainbow
like a rotten
sherbet.
apple, whatever it is. But it creates a new dimension, and that allows people also to have commonalities, bridging divides, finding more about how to have these type of exchanges. And so I'll explore that using different methods, not just asking how those things taste, but I'll use actual physical installations where people will think, for example, echo chambers. Okay. I was at the Grand Canyon. I was very gracefully, they got me, the superintendent put me right there at the rim, one of the most popular views at Mather's Viewpoint. Beautiful. Amphitheater, 200 seats for 200 people. Really beautiful. I put a museum case where you'd usually put a statue or something underneath like a glass case, right? So it's the statues are a little bit at something fragile is at eye level.
Uh-huh.
And inside of my case, I'll put ceramic sculpture or just whatever. I could put an apple if I wanted to. Just put
Oh
it
yeah.
in there and let it heat up underneath the sun. And people come up and say, "What's this? What's this about?" And And I'll say, well, you know, that statue in there, that's a representation of me, of you. That's all it is. I'm more concerned about the case that's around it. And they're like, what, the case? What are you talking about? No, the case is like, for me, it's a representation of our worldview, of our echo chamber, of how that's the limit of our vision. When we're inside, we look out and it looks enormous, but it's always much more limited than we think it is. And they're like, oh, that's interesting, you know, fair enough. And then I'll pull out another excuse to have this conversation, and I'll pull out a glass spice jar, you know, empty, and I'll put a little statue in it. And I was like, well, look at this echo chamber, and this statue in there, that's a representation of someone with much more narrow worldview. And then I ask, how does this one, the spice jar, go into the other echo chamber of the museum case? How do those two enter each other's echo chambers in person, right? What mechanisms would you do to get into that? Should you even do that? I mean, all these questions come up, and I just stop at that. I mean, people are like, well, why would I want to get into somebody's echo chamber? Why would I want to know what it looks like from inside of there? What's the point of it enlarging or being smaller? Or do I even have an echo chamber? What's an echo chamber? And why? Oh, people have different echo chambers. I mean, everybody around me has a different one, a different point of view, and they're rigid in a sense, and they hit one another. And where's the intersection of the two? All of this, just all these questions come up, not just for me, but from the other person, and it all happens in a matter of seconds, in a moment of silence, looking down to the side, going, you know, oh, yeah, I never thought of that. You know, and that space for me is also a bridging mechanism, an excuse, a tool for people to engage with others, and just the fact that we're sharing these stories with your listeners. Those stories are also tools and excuses for people to say, you know what? I want to have a conversation with a stranger, right? I heard this on a podcast. There's this wacky artist that did this at the national park, and he did this or whatever. And those stories are excuses. It's like an art installation. It's like having the mic, all these things. Those stories are the ones that you can take with you without having any physical implement to engage with others. And the question arises, why should we even engage with others? Right? Why should we even engage with others? What's the point of that? I mean, we kind of spoke about the fact that engaging with others is not always going to be in confrontation if we're there to actively listen to the other. If we're finding the commonality. Everybody has something to say. You just let them say it. Give them the space. And something might happen. And to me, I see it as the foundation of humanity, right? From the bottom up, something that cannot be controlled, right? From media outlets, from our devices, from political organizations. It's in our control. It's something that we can do at any time to build a more resilient and strong democracy or political system where we can all interact, to learn about the other, to hear their points of view, and also to burst the pimple.
Lance the boil.
the boil, yes, the boil. Burst the boil. Because I don't know, I'm sure you had things happen like this. I've had people cry.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I haven't been, you know, people like, nobody's ever asked me that question. Has been pinned up inside. I want to get it out. And, you know, it's an awkward moment. But especially when the husband comes up and says, what did you say to my wife?
Right. I've been there.
Yeah. But when it's just face-to-face, one-on-one, you know, it's just the two of us. So we can, you know, there's no explaining to do because we both understand where we are. And that brings us back to space, to where these conversations take place, and the authenticity of yourself when you're doing these things. And for those of us that well, that's all of us that participate in a political world. I see all actions, not only in all actions with intent as being artistic, but I see all art as being political as well.
Mm.
That beyond the vote, voting is one thing, and not everybody goes and votes, as we know. We
Mhm.
have other duties, civil duties towards one another. So, and those are the interactions that we have with the other quotation marks again. And I can't, it just never escapes my mind how important this is. The
Mm.
more I'm into this project, the more I realize its crucial nature. Um, and it feels really good.
Yeah,
There's a lot
I'm
of pain,
sure.
but it feels
Oh,
good.
well, the good things definitely have pain involved. That's true. I
Mm,
think everyone would agree with you that this is such an
mm,
integral
mm,
conversation right now, more than any time, with
mm,
everything going on. Yeah. So the work you do is so important, and being able to foster the environment for people to express their opinions and develop new opinions, because we don't often stop and listen to ourselves talk, but when we hear ourselves explain to a total stranger what we think and supporting those ideals with whatever examples, we may retract them and expand them because of what space you've created. A few things that you said that I'd love to unpack, and my brain's like a parakeet sometimes, so bear with me. But you mentioned what was it? You mentioned um the whole echo chamber thing. No, no, no. The husband wife thing. So
mm,
one of the most, I guess, closest interviews to me personally in my soul, that's the first one I think of, is there was a woman that was sitting by herself at Discovery Park. It's downtown Dallas, again, AT&T Center, and she's sitting by herself, and she looks really sad. And so I thought, well, I don't really want to jump in there and invade her space, but I just really feel compelled to talk to her. And so I go up there and I asked her the questions, and partially through her response, she was welling up with tears. And I could see it. She was going to cry in a minute. And I felt so bad for having made her cry. But she said her message to the world was that, you spend so much of your life just planning for things that will never happen,
mm,
planning for the negative outcomes that will never happen, and so you waste your life planning for things that never happen. And yeah, her face, I mean, you see it all in their faces. You see so much more than just, you know outward expressions, right? You can see the story developing behind their face, or at least I can, especially when we ask them, what's your message to the world? But she just was fighting back these tears and then just letting out these really gorgeous words. And I kid you not, like a few minutes later, this man comes up, and her just whole body language changes. Yeah, she goes from just like being really sad and just opening her broken heart, and then she's just
mhm,
really happy because this guy comes, and it's her boyfriend, and they're on this date. And I'm like, oh my bad, I made this woman cry, and they're on a date. But after that, I stayed with her for a while, and I was telling her, like, you have no idea what your words mean. Like, that was just, unbelievable. And you were so right. We do. We spend a lot of time wasted on what won't happen. And if we were to stop doing that and just live and be ourselves, unapologetically yourself, but then taking a moment to reflect on everyone else, and accept these new opinions and worldviews, and evolve, then, things would be better. And so that one sticks with me. And when you mentioned, just the shift, it just made me think of that. Um, I wonder, for you, when you walk away after speaking with people, end of the day, you've done your full day of work. Do you take them with you as well? Do you take them with you over time?
the
The
exchange.
stories and the. Mhm.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, it's definitely part of me. There's so being in the space, back to a national park, for example, like I will and I have the liberty of time that it takes as well to invest my time in this. And back to the Grand Canyon, for example. So I um I set up for first weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days. And then I went down into the Grand Canyon to hike for 5 days, backcountry camping under the stars for 5 days, to process, to go through the conversations that happened internally and with others, um, and followed it up with another 3 at the end. Um, those they certainly constitute who I am. The transformation for me was profound. Um, and when I meet people with whom I've engaged with, in this process of engaging with the other, listening to the other, and finding commonalities. When I have the chance of meeting somebody who really, to whom this resonated with, they share with me how their stories have resonated, like you're talking about, also how it resonates with you, the stories, how the stories stay with you of others. Um, and that's humanity. We get a little glimpse into it during this lifetime. What you were talking about just earlier reminded me of flow. People speak of an artistic flow. I see life as a flow. When you're in that flow and this authentic moment of observing what's around you, being receptive to what's around you, um, those encounters take place when you're ready to take an action, the smallest of actions, right? And we use all our senses, like you noticed the nonverbal communication in this lady. When we look at the cues, we don't know exactly what they are, but if we feel the impulse that we need to be there for a moment for that person, maybe we should take that action. There's in active listening, there's a lot of non-action in a sense. I'm not going to speak. I'm going to listen, right? And that is an action in a form of non-action. In flow, there is also that. I mean, there's times to act and other ones to not. But we go slow and listen to what happens around us. We don't have control over many of the things that happen around us, but we do have a moment where we can act, and there's a reaction, and we live with that reaction, and that's part of our journey, and I'm okay with that. I mean, it's a fantastic one. But it's also back to, it's important to have a time to reflect upon the new building blocks of your life, the things that you've newly acquired, maybe to let them flow off of you, right? Because some stories are a bit sticky and keep you in places that you find not to be constructive for you. So it's a process to be able just to let it go. And you need mechanisms to do that. And it could just be to walk underneath the rain and let that rain just, you feel the impulse of letting that rain just fall on you, hot or cold, get you wet. That's okay. Go for it. And while you're out there and it's raining and somebody sees you underneath there and brings an umbrella or whatever, that's their connection and their action. And humanity benefits more from our actions than our passivity of. And I see humanity more in our interactions than in our scrolling. Yeah. Yeah.
That's very true. You see it in the comments. You see so many various connections in the comments, but beyond that as well, I remember waking up every single day during that 4-year period and just being extremely grateful and just marveling at the amazing things that people would say, sometimes the outlandish things that people would say. Just unbelievable. Humans are just amazing to watch. I mean, that could be taken out of context, but I grew up doing that. I grew up watching people. It was just my thing. I'd go to the movie theater and I'd watch these movies, and then I'd deconstruct the storylines. I went to school for film, and I just, love the whole thing. But I would watch people and watch their reactions, and then I'd go to a cafe and I just watch people and think, I wonder what they thought about this. And so it was just a natural progression to do this, right? But waking up every day and just thinking about what I did the day before, or the fact that I even went on this journey in the first place. Like, I watched a video and I saw a call to action that said, "Hey, why don't you join us?" And I thought, I could do that. And I thought, this could either be the best cocktail party story ever after this, or it could be life-changing. And it was unbelievably life-changing. I went every which way and met all kinds of people, learned so much about people, worked with some of the coolest people. But at the end of the day, it was all people. Regardless of what they do, or what their professions are, how creative one is, or how original one is, at the end of the day, the humanity aspect is everything. And it's such an amazing journey. I feel blessed to even be part of anything in that respect. And same for you. Like, I'm so glad you exist. I'm so glad people like us exist. Storytellers, people that connect humanity, people that explore things, even the dark things. I'm all about letting humanity talk about the dark part, because those are parts that we need to connect on and heal from. I'm working on a book called Complications and Metamorphosis. And what it is that it's a book, a compilation of written stories from various people experiencing mental illness firsthand, and being able to share that with other people in the same space. But then also folks that don't even know what it's like, they can be enlightened by the conversation. But also the fact that, someone who may have the same perspective and have the same struggles can receive a message from that and know that they are in, company. But also that if that person is reading a story that's far worse than theirs, then they also have another takeaway that that they're going to be okay. So there's so much to get from that. So that's something that I'm working on as well. Yeah, craziness.
Exploring vulnerabilities, being vulnerable for the other. It's taking down some of the walls that we have, and removing veils in order to, love it. That's a huge conversation.
It totally is. And I think people are enjoying this. This is almost like a masterclass. Welcome to our masterclass, everyone. Masterclass on humanity. I love it. So let's talk about humanity some more. I have this wonderful little list because, we all want to be James Lipton and ask everyone what they would say if they entered the pearly gates, but we're not James Lipton. But I do have a few questions for you on humanity. So are you ready for the 8 degrees of humanity?
Oh, let's see.
When you think of the word humanity, what is the first feeling or story that comes up for you?
So feeling, I see a void. And it's not a void that needs to be filled. It's the void is the space that's between us. And it's not something to run away from. It's to acknowledge that there's a space, and to just let that be. I know it sounds a bit artistic and far out there, but that's how I vision it. It's a void that does not need to be filled, and that should be left to be. We're all entities, and all together we create space, a much bigger space than we can possibly imagine. Yes.
And I'd like for everyone to just take a moment and think about that, because, gosh, we fill these voids. We fill these lines of conversation, right? We're quick to respond to what the next person says.
Yes.
We fill in those spaces, and there's something about not speaking after someone has stopped speaking, and seeing what their stream of consciousness is that comes from that. That's actually one of the tricks of the trade, was staying quiet and letting someone speak their truth, but then not talking after that. A lot of people can't do that, but it's something that's necessary in order to let like the deep down things come out. And you'd be surprised what you hear when you just say nothing after someone stops talking because they get nervous and they inherently need to fill that space, with more words. Yeah, it's interesting.
Masterclass.
Again, we all have our moments where another person or another soul reminds us of our shared humanness. Tell me about a person who surprised you with their level of empathy or compassion and how it changed how you view humanity.
Oh, there's a lot of people come in mind, right? But does it have to be a person?
Could be whatever you like.
Yeah. Well, it's not to follow up on Void, but the flow, right, is very much like a river, right? And to me, years ago, probably 21. I'm in Canada. I'm in British Columbia. I'm hiking far up to the sources of a river called Île Silhouette. Native name, probably not pronouncing it correctly, but that's the way I've always remembered it. And I arrive up on a big granite face, and I think I'm there to see the source of it, and opens up a huge view of a multitude of small streams coming off the rock, far off in the distance, coming to join themselves as one larger river, right? And that's how I see flow. That's how I see humanity, of all these small rivulets that if I had gone further up, I may have seen them coming out of the moss or whatever. It doesn't matter where the origin is. It's the coming together, right, of all these different sources that all end up going to the sea and starting again. Yeah.
Your story reminds me of my son. I took him to Portland, and Portland, the Pacific Northwest is just beautiful. Like, doesn't matter where you are, it's beautiful. You can be at the park. There's like a billion of them. It's beautiful. And we were on a tour with Viator, and you can book these random excursions, really cheap. They put you on a Mercedes van, and they take you wherever. And this particular one was going to various state parks and areas of water. And I remember thinking, man, everything is so gorgeous. We're going on these trails and seeing all of these wonderful waterfalls. And I'm thinking, like, man, are we at the right waterfalls? Like, is there more? Like, should I move that fern? No, it's a state park. You can't do that. But I just had to stop myself. And then I was like, oh, yeah, dummy. You're with your child. You're with your son. He's 20. He's 21. He just turned 21. And I'm like, you're with this other human. you should really be invested in that, and observe the journey through their eyes and the wonderment, right? There's so many things that I wasn't really looking at, but then, coupled with that gorgeous environment, I was so appreciative of every single twist and turn. But yeah, nature is wonderful. And you've seen so much. Next question for you, sir. Love and loss defines a lot of our shared experiences. Is there a particular love or a particular loss that left you with a profound perspective on life, or even a realization about yourself?
Yeah. So we have void and flow. My sister, my sister. She died of an overdose. So why is it always the people that we can no longer speak to, right? Beyond just in our thoughts, this is stories that we brought from that person, but we can no longer have that conversation with. I feel fortunate that I had closure with her, but her story and not the one of her substance abuse or her traumas, was to bring me to make me see the river and to see the origins of the river, like I was describing in your former question. She brought me there and brought me on that journey, which I would maybe have discovered later, but she brought me at the right time. And that brought me, of course, on a very different path. It's often the people that are closest to us, and maybe the ones that we lost, or the ones that we have unfinished business with, that have that are part deeply of our story. Which, of course, reminds me that all the people that we meet in our lives, regardless, strangers, even for brief moments, their stories are part of our larger story, and there's still a space between us. And in this case, it's death and separation, the impermanence of things. That is part of the void that I was talking about earlier too. And you got to leave that, let it be, in order to live your own story. Is it? I hope all my answers are not too
No, they're wonderful.
and
No,
artistic.
are you kidding me?
Oof.
Artist to artist, and then all the other folks that are watching, they're digging it. We're all digging it. No. Please be yourself. Unapologetically yourself. That's all we can do from this point forward. I'm so sorry for your loss, by the way. No, I said by the way, but I am sorry for your loss.
No.
She's in great company. She's with my mother. So
okay.
She's in great company. I have to ask a follow-up to that, if that's all right.
Yeah.
When you go on your travels, because she showed you, these places, or just, inspired those travels, do you take her with you to wherever you go?
I think yes, of course. Yeah, she's definitely there. I mean, the same fact that right now we're all of us, you, me, the listeners, we're all on a journey together, right? And I brought up this story, shared it with you. It's part of that as well, and the connection it has to your own other stories. It's kind of stereotypical to say that we're story oriented people, but it is, right? We're going to remember that, and there's associations that come with it. So yes, all of those encounters, even if we don't remember them, they are who we are. There's no escaping them. Even the ones that are hurtful, the ones that we want to let go. The point would be not to focus on, for example, the death of the pain of death. I acknowledge the pain of the death, but it's all the story, all the benefits that came with it, the new vision that she afforded me. That's what I'm taking with me. Of course, I could spend much time focusing on the painful, hurtful aspects of it, but that's not going to lead me forward. In the top of the mountain with a greater view is where I'd rather be.
100%.
Yeah.
That reminds me of my mom. She was a big bingo person. so I decided to go play bingo for her on her birthday. And I could hear her, saying things. I could feel her saying things, and it was just beautiful to think about the good parts, and the good memories. I have made peace with all of the bad things and having to deal with, just certain upbringing moments. But taking those experiences and those imprints that they left on your life that are so extraordinary, I think that's amazing. But there is a necessary need to also process that pain and sit with it and heal from it. I feel like when we go to these places and we see those good moments, those good memories of them, the essence, we also, can find ourselves in that grief area as well, or the pain areas, and that's okay. We can sit with those, and if we can release them and just be in them, then we get stronger. And so all of that is correct. And thank you so much for sharing that. That was really nice of you to share that with us.
Keep the story going.
Yes. Now,
Mm.
hardship teaches empathy, and they say that when you've been broken, you have a profound new respect for the world, and you also have a different world view because you've been broken. Would you say that there is like a particular moment where something broke you and it changed your view on the world and people in general, maybe?
A whole series of elections and bad decisions
Oh.
of based on I'd come up with many trigger words which I'll keep to myself. But if there was January 6th, that would be one. But
Mm-hmm.
there's so many others. They should all be calls to action for us to not remain in silence, but to engage others, to engage those people. Right? Them. I just said them again. Here we are. But
Those people.
those people. Engage them. The opponent. There it comes. Right. So
Sorry, I
those should all be opportunities. We need to act.
yeah.
And every time we find something outrageous, it's a time to act, and you wonder how to do that. And one of the ways is just the first encounter you have. It doesn't have to be something grand that's going to transform anything, but
Mm,
there's a very transformational tool that we have, is to speak to the stranger, and to make them no longer a stranger, right?
mhm.
To have that interaction and to expose ourselves, to be vulnerable for a moment, because people relate to that, and be there, share your stories, share your humanity with them. Get off the phone. It's hard because it's super entertaining, lots of good stuff in there, and when I can't remember something, I'm going right there to Google. But there's a time for that. And make more time, eat more vegetables.
Yes, Dad.
There's a big buffet of stuff out there, and we're just eating cake. So let's eat some more vegetables and some good stuff on the big buffet of exchanges out there. So when there's a moment for everything, and let that
Mhm.
be a moment to engage. Yeah. Mm.
Very well said. I have I have a fact for
Oh,
you.
oh
You
no!
ready?
Oh no! Is it true?
Oh, yeah. My wedding anniversary is January 6th.
Ah. Oh. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
everybody
Oh,
knows
yeah.
now.
Take that as you will. Yeah,
There's
it
some
was
good things that
hilarious.
happen then.
Mm, yeah, let's go with that. So we were at a restaurant when everything was going down, and we're eating, and the TVs, of course. Why is it that restaurants have TVs in them? I don't get it. That's just terrible.
Mm,
We're supposed to enjoy each other, not, the box
mhm,
scores.
mhm.
But we were sitting there eating in this Italian restaurant, and you start seeing flashes of mobs. And we're just like, it's like the cartoon movie when they're like, just, they eat and they stop and their mouths are open. Like,
It
it
just
was that.
drops.
Yeah. And at the time, well, still, my husband's very not, I would, you could say political, but not necessarily political. He has a lot of opinions. And he's ex-military, so he has a lot of opinions and, and conversations. And he's a Buddhist too. So, phew, goodness. Um, so we were watching this, and then we went home and we were like, is this like a foreshadowing? Is this something like should we think about our marriage and the fact that this insurrection just happened? It was just too funny. But yeah, so January 6th. Hilarious. We'll never get over it now.
Hilarious and funny.
So then
Mm.
whenever we want to reenact it, we can just go outside and, reenact trying to overtake the White House.
Stop
But
having meals together. Look what happened.
right. Oh my God, you're so right. Honey, we're no longer eating together. Oh goodness. So today's society often judges what we don't understand, of course, as you know. But I want to know, as an artist, what is it that people don't understand about artists that you wish they did?
I'm coming from that space where I believe that we're all artists when we act with intention. So it's to recognize not just creativity, um, but the flow that we can all access at any time. And artists are not so different than every single member of society. Because if we're all artists, it's just part of us being human. Um, we can access it any way that we want. It doesn't have to be necessarily a painting or a sculpture or anything like this. It could be two crazy words you want to put together and share. Um, anything,
Could
anything
be
can
an
be
apple in a
construed as
box.
art. Go for it.
Reminds me of Sex in the City when they would put the woman on the stool. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. If you had more, please, I apologize. I normally don't interrupt people. I'm very good.
That's okay, but you had an image come up, and that was your expression.
Do you have children?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Do you have kids?
Yes, I have a 14-year-old.
I can imagine growing up in that household, and you're just like, whatever, choice of expression. It's just,
oh yes,
it's
that's exactly how this house goes. But she does, of course, the opposite, and she's got a lot of rules for our no rules.
Isn't that interesting? People would think like, oh, your household is so bohemian and free, and then you're like, no, there's actually this book of rules. That's amazing.
I'm learning them. I'm learning what the rules are.
Oh goodness, parenting. Oof. Just what is it? They call a spoiler, right?
Okay,
in their 20s, they come back. Come back. I mean,
that's cool. No, I'm good with that. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too. No, we have a great time. Yeah. So culture and religion tell stories about what it means to be human. Do you have a particular story or quote or scripture or something that captures humanity for you? And if you could tell us what it is and why.
Well, I think this will be the reveal, in a sense. Every time I leave my house, I bow to a rock that I found. Big rock. It's not a boulder, because I could carry it and put it in my car and bring it down from the mountain, put it right in front of my door. Not right in front of my door, but on the way to the car. And I will bow to the rock. To take consciousness of the present moment. And I will remind myself of three things as I bow to the rock. One is that all things are impermanent, that there is suffering, and that we are all connected. And that just takes me to a much calmer space. I will actually use it after I engage with people in the national parks, before and after, just to be able to listen and be there. And it's a practice. So before I get in the car, I can calm down, kind of leave my preoccupations behind, kind of drive safely, get to where I need to go without being too much in a hurry, because it doesn't matter if I'm too late. If I'm a little bit late or something, in the grand scheme of things, yes, I'm going to suffer a little bit because I'm a little bit late and I'm in the appointment. The doctor's not going to be happy or whatever it is. Anyway, the doctor's going to be later than me. And in the great scheme, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And I just and that's how I proceed, and I use that as my my practice, because you spoke of religion as well. I guess that's my religion in a sense, and that allows me as a daily practice to be present. But now we've entered a spirituality podcast.
First, we went from masterclass to comedy to humanity, and I love it so much. You're wonderful. If not to diminish anything that you just said, but what popped in my head automatically was like, some people have spaghetti monster religion, and some people have rocks.
Yeah, I got the rock. It could be any rock.
He does not discriminate, people. Any size rock is fine.
That's right.
Send him rocks to P.O. Box 123. Oh goodness. So fun fact, there's not necessarily 8 questions in the 8 degrees of humanity. I actually just kind of go, where the conversation takes us, and I pick questions. So you passed. You did amazing. I hope you had a great time.
That was good.
So let's talk about this amazing collaboration. Guys, super secret. Not a secret anymore, obvi. But we are going to work on a collaboration. So for Humanity 2.0, this wonderful human being here is going to ask questions that we curate together to ask humanity in his travels. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, you will incorporate that into your installation and it'll be like amazing.
Yeah, definitely. That's what, yeah. I want to do that and see where it takes, because this will be an experiment, and they'll be part of my story as well now.
Gosh,
right?
this is epic. This is huge. I mean, like with the previous Are You Happy docu-series, I mean, I had 3,000 people doing it for me, and myself, 3,001, I guess. But no, this is something totally different. This is an immersion of humanity and art and all that's good, and I can't wait to see what comes out of it, or bad, you know.
Well, we'll need to discuss. We'll need to discuss some prompts
parameters
and also the questions, and
yes.
see how we do this. But that's what the collaboration's about. And
Agreed.
the outcome, who knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
A follow-up.
I may travel to you and find you at the park. Yeah, right. Exactly. CNN. Yeah, no, thank you so much for agreeing to that collab. I'm super excited to work with you on that. And you guys will not get to see the thought process on how we get there. So sorry. Sorry, not sorry. We can chat after this. Is there anything else that you would wish to share about your work? Or also, if you want to please tell everyone where they can find your work, social, website, social security number, whatever you want to share.
Well, I think we discussed much about what my work is about. I did give it a name. It's called, and that's a whole other talk right there. I call it Triptych Dialogue. And I synthesized it in a YouTube channel, which serves a little bit as a chronology, a diary of different art installations, of interviews, of answers, of a lot of different things. It's wacky. It's not meant to entertain, but it's definitely a window into what I do. And I guess this is where I plug the name, because it's Triptych Dialogue. But how do you write it? It's TRIPTYCH Dialogue, DIALOGUE. And you type in Triptych Dialogue on YouTube, and that should take you there. And you will see a guy wearing this hat that I'm wearing right now, floppy hat. And yeah, you'll see a video of me walking around with a trash can on my head. It'll be that's entertaining. But you'll wonder why, among other things. Yeah, go check that out. That'll make me happy.
Is there a reason for that accoutrement of head wear?
Because there's very little hair underneath the hat.
Oh man.
And it keeps my head warm.
Oh, that yes. Understood there. So I lied. There's one more question.
Oh, go for it.
If you could share a message with humanity, what would that message be?
Well, it's this right here, but it's hard on a podcast. It's silence. So I'm going to do it for 3 seconds. Thank you.
Excellent. I was wondering, was it Mississippi's or? Everyone was wondering that, David. Oh man, you know what? I normally edit episodes fairly heavily, just because I want them to, be nice. This one, I don't really. There is no reason to edit it like whatsoever. Well, maybe the beginning part, but
full flow.
People might not want to know about weather. It's been just an extraordinary hour with you, hour plus. Like seriously, I can't even tell you how much of a treat this was. And thank you so much for rescheduling too, by the way. I'm so sorry about that.
It's good. It's a beginning. We have questions we need to answer.
This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, we'll see.
Where are you from, by the way? I hear an accent.
I'm from France. I was raised in France. Born in the U.S. Yeah.
Where in France?
Grew up in Paris, in city, but not a city person. So, but love to go back, love to visit.
Do you speak French?
Yeah, that's the language we speak in this household. Yeah, it's all French here. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, except
Wow.
this podcast. But...
this podcast will be broadcast in French. Go for it.
Watch out, everyone.
Another round in French.
It's going to be
in
interesting.
France. Let's speak France. Yes. So again, thank you so much for being here. Everybody watching, it has been so much fun. Wouldn't you say? I think you would say. Be sure to visit David's YouTube channel and also mine. And FYI, we are moving from Vanessa the Vivacious channel to Humanity 2.0 podcast channel. So that way it has its own, but you can stay in the other one because I'll post them on both just for funsies. Keep an eye out for the updates about this collaboration and be part of our humanity conversation by subscribing to the show and all the social platforms, all that good stuff. Our show is supported by viewers like you, so be sure to buy Humanity a coffee with the link in the description and all the links, all the places. David, you are amazing. We'll see you guys next week on another episode of Humanity 2.0 podcast. And above all, don't forget to be good to other humans. Thanks so much.